Hola a tothom. Se'm sent? Què tal? Gràcies per venir. Thank you for coming. Em perdonareu que passi l'anglès. For a guest. Easy. I think it has already been said the Mediterranean is a really special sea because it's both a microcosm of a lot of these huge challenges that we have and a focal point of a lot of them, plastics being a particularly challenging one, but it is also a focal point of solutions. And working in environmental communications, one of my biggest challenges is that people don't care about the ocean because they don't feel it's close to them. In the Mediterranean, we feel it's close to us. And I think that's something we have in common too. It is easy to compel people in the Mediterranean to love the sea because we already do. There's 20 countries around it, incredibly varied in terms of culture and environment. And I think there's much to learn about the solutions that are already being implemented in this sea that could actually help scale up to global initiatives that are currently quite toothless. So he already described what you do at Enalaya, but I'd love to know before we dig deeper into the what you do and the how you do it, why you do it. As he was saying, you know, this is none of us do this for the money. So what made you want to start working in ocean conservation and in plastics in particular? How did you find yourself in this line of work?
First of all, thank you very much, Laura, for having me. Thanks to the honorable directors and IEMED and MacArthur Foundation and everybody who really gave me the opportunity and to inviting me to my really dear, beloved city, Barcelona. And it's also, we have lots of common because I'm Alexandrian by the heart and raised. I was born in Cairo, unfortunately. But I love Alexandria. My father's Alexandria. So first of all, before starting this, I'd like to say a big thanks to Lefteris Adepakis, the founder of Enalaya.
Oh, no worries. Okay.
My mic? Okay. You hear me now, right?
Now for the karaoke section.
Hello?
Pot ser que necessitis encendre'l?
No, no està encès.
Ah, no.
Shall I repeat? Do you hear me now? Do you hear me now?
No. Well, I can continue to praise you in the meantime.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, Enalaya, it was born in Greece, right? Am I correct?
Yes. Is it working?
Yeah.
So Enalaya was born in Greece by and co-founded by Lefteris Adepakis. He's a Greek fisherman, and he wanted to find an opportunity to help the people of his, community as a fisherman to support the fishermen after a big crisis that happened to Greece, especially after financial crisis, and he wants to offer jobs to something that they have been really suffering from, which is that they don't have enough fish in the sea. At the same time, there is a new opportunity in how to clean up the sea and clean up the which is a very, very important part or a pillar for the blue economy, as they call it, for Greece. And when he founded this, and most of the fishermen, of course, it was a little bit a big challenge, and it happened also in Egypt. I will say it later. But he understood the language because I was a fisherman. But for me, I will tell you that my bigger challenge was happening in Egypt. Then also, I've been approached by him and the international manager, she's called Nefeli Galgos, and they tried a new challenge in Egypt, because Egypt, most of the people say, we're not going to approach it. It's a little bit, a crazy cake to cut. Yeah. As they call it, because they don't understand, was it really a country that can respond? But fortunately, it responded very well. Of course, it took a very, very big course of time just to reach that goal. So a big thanks to them. So I'm really proud to work with them. They're not my bosses, they're my partners. I feel really a part of a family of Enalaya in Greece. So that's the first thing. Second thing, when we started in Aliyah, Egypt, in Aliyah means with fishermen in Greek, and a very old terminology. I think it's a very like sort of a heritage one. And with fishermen, because fishermen, we thought that they're not just an important pillar or what we call it, the indigenous people who are living by the sea, but they might be the problem creators, but we wanted them to be the problem solvers. So we're changing the fishermen from problem creators to problem solvers, and that kind of process, when it took time, of course, and taking that course of action, we thought that how fishermen can be inspiring to other, parts of the community themselves, because of also the funny thing and a fun fact in Greece and how they are inspired also Egyptians, that 90% of the fishermen in Greece are Egyptians, actually, because of a treaty, yes. So when the Egyptians there working in Greece, they told the co-founder, we need to work in Egypt. Egypt needs that also, needs to be part of the action. And when it happened, and that kind of, things came to Egypt, I thought it's going to be tougher. But the fishermen also in Egypt have their own problems. And they started talking about something that I was shocked to hear. They said, we have a massive problem in our fishing stocks because there's something changing. The weather has changed. They didn't say climate, of course, because, that's the language. But when they said weather has changed, they mean like there is something wrong in our planet and we need to fix it. And they said, they started, like, for example, when I started with my port coordinator, that the first fisherman I ever talked to, and I told him, what do you think if we are about something happening in the sea and we want to solve the problem? He said, yes, there is a problem. We need to solve it because the bottom of our sea is rotten now, is getting some sort of, layered with waste. We call it in Egypt zebela, trash. And it's layering all around because of the people. And it's happening everywhere, not just in Egypt, because that's very important. Because most of the people think, it's Spain only is doing this, or it's Turkey only doing this, or Egypt. No, everyone is contributing to this problem. So when he started the conversation, he started talking about what we're going to do about it. I told him, what do you think about cleaning the sea, getting plastic out of the sea, and also giving me your fishing nets and ghost nets, or that kind of nets that we find at the ports, and I will give you money for it. He said, no way, of course, really? I can do that? Because it's abandoned. It doesn't have a value. And, he told me, he always called me engineer. So engineer Ahmed, it's not going to happen, no. You will lose money. I told him, just follow me and follow my lead and we'll start this. He didn't trust me at all the first minute. It wasn't really like, I didn't believe it. But he said, he looks like a guy who knows what he's doing, but at the same time, this is nonsense. This is impossible. In Egypt, why do we pay for such trash or such...
I am so curious, what were you doing before you started with NLA? Like, what, in your personal journey, were you already working with plastics? And when was the moment where you realized, I want to commit myself to this issue in particular?
That's a very important question. So I told you I'm from Alexandria.
Yeah.
I was working with my father, bless his soul, he passed away in 2017. So we were walking on the Corniche, and he's seen some sort of a floating plastic patch floating in the sea. And that was in around 2013 or something. So he told me, we should do something about it. What's going on? And this is not the Alexander that I know. All plastic all around, floating all around. And my father was really into environment, but he doesn't know it. Like, he wasn't a climate activist, but he was always speaking about trees, speaking about plastic. And so, of course, those kind of, conversations that we have, which was really informal and very, very, sort of popping up in our conversations, made me feel that I need to do something about it. Then, in my university, I was graduated from Faculty of Engineering in Alexandria. And I had my project, it's about renewable energy and environment. So why are we doing that kind of project? Because we want to support and protect the environment. They said, now it's the trend, and students, one of our, kind of, I don't have to say that, but the professors, they said, you need, now it's a future for climate, so you will get money from the climate jobs. He said that in 2012, actually. So we followed the lead, and we've done something about renewable because I loved that kind of thing. And now I feel that, there is a commitment about environment. Now we succeeded in that project. I got an A+, and I was so happy about it. But afterwards, I've done some sort of digging on what's the environment about? What's happening? Also, at the same time, I was working with a civil society volunteer to support education, to support refugees and other kind of activities. Also, this is my best friend Khalid. He was with me. We knew each other, and he came all the way with me to join in Barcelona. So, thank you. So. That kind of thing, like mixing the civil society background with my passion with environment, and I think we need to do so. Then COVID came, and also 2018, I was like, really, the seed is growing. It's growing. Till 2020 was a very, very massive peak that I need to do something about environment. Also, I was celebrating, at the same time, I was not happy about the COVID, but I was celebrating the ozone layer, the closure of it. So there is something happening. Yeah. So that's the...
Amazing. The issue with plastics, and I think we probably have a very educated audience. So as you may probably know, it is an incredibly complex subject because there is not one solution. Removing them is important, preventing them entering is important, recycling them is important, and not one thing can be done without the others. And I think what's really interesting about NLA's solution is that you seem to be taking a really holistic approach. Exactly. So some people, we see a lot of beach cleanings in Barcelona, which are lovely, but not enough. And we talk about recycling, but again, it's not enough. So what is specifically your solution? How do you bring together prevention, mitigation, education, all into something that serves fishermen?
That's a perfect question. So, So in Alea, as an organization, they started, analyzing what we call the loopholes, like, what kind of, loose ends that we need to fix. So we have a problem, which is the source. We have a problem, which is also the overconsumption of single-use plastic. And also the fisherman who has a fishing gear, which is way worse type of waste that are crawling into our seas, especially the Mediterranean, because it's very, very, what we call a very active spot of fishing. So they analyzed all of these factors, and they said, okay, so we have to see what kind of solutions that we need to do, sort of a phase. So we have a late phase now. Unfortunately, we have ghost nets at the bottom of the sea, single-use plastic of all kinds, PET, name it. Everything is in the sea. Tires, plastic, diapers, cars.
Yeah. What isn't?
Fibers. Nothing is not
Genuinely.
in the sea, which is very, very horrendous. Yeah. So when we started thinking, okay, so we will do some sort of fishing the plastic, because fishermen have discovered by catch that they are catching plastic. They're doing some sort of in certain spots, because trawling is not good, but they're trawling in certain places that were filled with plastic.
Of course.
Taking it all over. Then there is another phase, which is called prevention. You mentioned it. So prevention, we are talking to the fishermen to donate the fishing nets before it's abandoned in the streams or beside the sea. Yeah.
Can I pause for a second? Because I think we have a photo. I think if we could share image number 9 of some of these fishing nets, because I would love to zoom in, because that has been really successful. Right. And if I'm not mistaken, that is something that is happening for the first time. Fishermen had never even considered recycling them, and now here they are.
I like it. So this is Luli, he's the port coordinator, and the 2 workers are working. Do you see that? This is a massive car. This is a 5-ton car, and it's filled with fishing nets. That kind of fishing nets they called prevention, mixed a little bit with ghost. So prevention this is how it works. Prevention nets are always donated from the fishermen just because they think that now it has a value. Of course, until this moment, they think that we are crazy. Why we're taking and paying for something which is abandoned? Because most of the fishermen, they take the fishing nets and they throw it in the streams beside the ports, or a little bit on the beaches. So we find it a lot on the beaches, and sometimes in the edges, or you know, that kind of abandoned places in the ports themselves. Here, we are taking all of these fishing nets, are they going straight ahead to recycling facilities because they experimented for the first time ever in Egypt. So Inalea, Egypt, is the first organization to work on recycling fishing nets.
What can you turn them into? What could a fishing net be next?
Now, it's tiles. With a company, we have a very brilliant company, is an Egyptian startup, by the way, and they're turning those kind of plastic to tiles. And those kind of tiles also, they're not just tiles. They stay longer, they are very durable, they're not affected by rain, for example, or salty water. They are very powerful, and they mix them with the sand. Also, they are changed to pellets, PP pellets, polypropylene pellets. And also sometimes, it depends on the type of fishing net, it's a little bit not common, but the common ones are the PPs.
So those pellets then can be turned into a wide variety of plastic.
You can turn it into a car, a leather, or even an aircraft. So you can use those pellets in everywhere. So because the recycling facilities in Egypt, they didn't trust the process. What? No. Why are we going to do it with fishing nets? I told them just try. And we went for maybe 2 weeks to experiment all of these things. And they've changed it. And it was, oh, wow, that's a really cheap resource because we give them that for free. So, so I can get 5 tons from you? Yes, you can get it. Just turn it into pellets or tiles or whatever you want, name it. And also, they found out that it's not just a cheap resource, it's a powerful resource. Even powerful than the plastic they are collecting or the plastic that are coming from the residential resource.
So you're making something that used to be seen as trash and useless into something that is valuable in their eyes.
Yes.
And helping the fishermen too, because these are incredibly heavy things. There's a reason why they abandon them. They're very cumbersome, they're very difficult to...
Not just about heavy, they are just all over the place.
Exactly.
You cannot really control them. These seems not to be heavy, but when they are piling up, they're heavy. Yes.
So you're giving them value so that they are motivated to...
Exactly.
There's another part of what you're saying, which is also, I love a part of what you do very well, which is the education part. Because obviously, if people do not know that plastic is a challenge or that plastic can be valuable, then we're not starting. So can you tell us a little bit more about what Enalea does about educating the community, and how do you go about that?
So what I like about Enalea's model also is how they are teaching fishermen to understand what are the consequences of leaving the problem like lying around or floating around. Especially that, for example, when you give that kind of training to the boss, how we can call it, the big boss of the fishermen, he always said them with his language, simple language, that there is something can happen to your fish stocks, so your food or your money, how you are, or your jobs will disappear after 10 or to 15 years. So Luli, I had a different thing in Egypt than Greece. Greece, they started a really brilliant school for fishermen to understand climate change and problems related to the marine plastic and marine waste. In Egypt, we have a different approach. There's a training to give it to the port coordinator with other, big fishermen who know, the people trust and know, and they passed it to the fishermen, the young ones.
Really smart. I think this is so key because anybody who's worked in conservation knows that working with fishermen is tricky because they are naturally very apprehensive
and
they
didn't trust me in the
mistrusting of nonprofits. I think honestly, sometimes for a very good reason. Like nonprofits can be really condescending. Sometimes policy that it's designed in the capital doesn't take into account the considerations of small-scale fishermen.
That was the complaints. They're always complaining about lots of rules. Why?
Why they don't know us?
I'm losing my job. Blah blah blah.
Like anybody who works with fishermen know that it's really challenging, and yet you're thriving. And I think one of the keys is what you're describing, which is you don't condescend them. You go first to the most trusted people and convince them first. And then something that you mentioned earlier of the stage, but I'd love to talk about, is how you are also learning from them.
Of course.
So I think we have a photo number 11, because you were saying one of the fishermen convinced you to go get plastic in the ocean in a place that you didn't know.
Yes.
Is that right? So would you tell us like
True.
what the photo is?
So the story of this picture, that I was talking to the port coordinator, one of the Luli, the fisherman, and he told me, so I asked him, let's go to this spot because it's really close to the Corniche or the coastline, so we can collect more plastic. He said, no, if we we're going further, we'll find more. And every type of single-use plastic, like bottles, cans, not cans is like aluminum, but every kind of waste, I mean. So we found lots of them. And, when he trying to fish out the marine plastic or the waste, it was so heavy. Trying and like pulling, he got like around. Do you see, like they were trying and struggling to get it out? I was in another boat trying to document, but then I left and I tried to go with other 3 fishermen just to pull it out because it was so heavy. That kind of spot, he told me, I know it, and it's easy to spot. And he told me that we need to do that work after he trusted me.
Yes.
This was like after 7 months working with him. So do you see how that kind of conversation came along?
The importance of building trust.
Exactly. So that kind of trust, when we built it, he said, let's do more and more. Now he's very creative about trying to find new methodologies on how to go to a very, very narrow spots to get the plastic out, to fish it out. He's brilliant. And I was really amazed about that. Also, he's teaching me the kind of fish that are disappearing because of the warmer temperatures that are unfortunately affecting the coast of Egypt. Yeah. And also the kind of fish that are increasing in number because they're hunters or the predators, as we call it. Yeah. You are the scientist here. So they are declining in numbers because of the kind of plastic that are killing types. So he knew all of that. And I didn't know it. I should be the more aware. We're privileged, and I'm in college, and I'm reading. But, that kind of communities, you learn from them. You learn from them, that what we call it, the most specific type of information that can help us to solve the problem properly.
Absolutely. I think it's the magic and the challenge of environmental solutions is they need to be catered to each specific ecosystem.
Exactly.
But when you do listen to the people who work in those ecosystems all the time, solutions are possible. And I think that's why we love hearing stories from the field, because generalizations don't fix anything, but this is people who know where the debris are, who are motivated to share it, and who are doing what they do naturally, which is fish. You're actually not asking for a huge change in behavior, you're asking them to do it in service of a long-term vision.
Yes. Can I add something?
Please.
We have 1 or 2 months that it's a no fishing season in Egypt. And this is also new information to me. So Luli said, we need to increase our operations because most of the fishermen, they don't have money now. So there is a dependency on the problem-solving process, to give them, to bring them money. I loved it, yet it was a little bit dilemmatic, ethically dilemmatic. Is that possible, so, to increase the operations just because of its no fishing season, or how we can solve that in the future? Yeah. So I tried to find a model after, collecting and, of course, and supporting and helping that. So trying now to understand how fishermen can survive and thrive in the 2 months no fishing season. So I'm learning for the future, maybe 10 years, 20 years, God knows. But the point is here, we need to understand also what we can do in the future related to such thing.
And speaking to the future, how are the next generation of fishermen? Because Luli's experience, but there must be young fishermen coming up.
Yes.
Do you see a difference in approach? Do you see potential in the young fishermen learning some of these things?
Of course.
Prevention, what's the next generation feeling like.
So most of them now, they're working, like the young people are always doing the most of the work because
Yeah.
they are, the bosses and stuff. So I liked it. But unfortunately, it's not like in Alexandria. It's in the other ports.
Okay.
It's like Damietta or Rosetta or maybe also the El Agami, El Max, El Dakhila. So they are a little bit of small, nice towns close to Alexandria and part of not the metropolitan Alexandria, but part of Alexandria. And that kind of ports, fishermen, the pass to the younger, fishermen or younger sons, of course.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have women fishermen, but I didn't meet them yet. I'll try to get them on board, hopefully. But in Alexandria, it's a little bit, very... like Barcelona, it's a very modernized, and people are looking for other jobs. But there is a good news that when they heard about that there is a project related to, we're doing plastic, fishing plastic to put on a circular economy thing, and it's a good money for them. So sometimes I had them back to be part of the operations. Even they have another job, so they go 2 days per week just to fish plastic out. So I see that there is a potential, but it needs to be more, organized manner. Like it's a consistent job that they have to work on, because of course plastic never ends. But at least it's a consistent job that we have to work on. But I'm not really worried about the younger generation, because they are more aware, they read more. Sometimes they use now ChatGPT. So one of the fishermen, they use ChatGPT in front of me to understand, what's the problem with marine plastic, for example?
Incredible.
And what's happening in Eastern Port in Alexandria? So I loved it. He's young, he's 18. It's called Mohammed Sanhouri. And he said, I love the job then. They were doing something different. But he's insisting on why we need to do that and to give money for it, and why we're not doing it on a volunteering basis. So I answered him, and I told him, of course, climate should be a job now. Of course. It's not a luxurious volunteering nice thing. It should be a job. And even you feel that you need to do that. Of course, sometimes we do it for religious reasons. But we have a verse in Quran we cannot really corrupt the sea, corrupt the land. So, but I told him it needs to be a job. Sorry for being long.
No, that is so poignant, because I think making it a job also makes it sustainable, right? We always think of sustainability from a purely environmental sense, but sustainability also means social sustainability. Like, will these communities be able to keep up for a very long time? And if we want to, we need to find a way for it to make sense economically, or at least for it not to be a loss. I would love to, now that we've been in the local details, to zoom out for a second, because this is all interconnected. But as much as these solutions should scale up, we also need international regulation for a lot of these. We need governments to be motivated, and not only motivated, but accountable to stopping the stream of plastic that then you have to fish. And so we recently, you probably are aware, had some bad news from Geneva, because the Global Plastic Treaty got derailed and stopped. And so I would love to hear from a practitioner, what are your thoughts on the consequences of the derailment of these global treaties, and how important are these global treaties to incentivizing the work that you're already doing?
I have a massive problem with INC that they are not putting the right people on the table. So why is that? So let's talk about, for example, in Aliyah or for Ocean in Australia or other, kind of, organizations. These should be on the table to give the results and give the, their inputs and thoughts. Yeah. And also INC is always ambitious, very ambitious. And they are just fighting on like texts and brackets. Yeah. So the way itself, or it's a massive or a very perfect way or a shortcut to failure. You're not giving any chance to how to understand how to do a treaty that should include all stakeholders or parties that should be on one table. And I see here that there is a little bit of intention coming from, countries who still want the plastic to be here. So they are playing with that language. Yeah. Not including, I have to say, like, we're not going to talk about like Egypt trying to do its part, Spain, of course, trying to do their part. But I've seen the countries who are plastic producers.
Yes.
That are very, very
You're not going to name
difficult.
them, but I will say Saudi
not gonna name
Arabia
them, yeah.
is incredibly good at negotiating.
So they're trying to find a way that we need to slow down. We're not going to phase out. Plastic never ends, so try another game or try another language. I see here the right way is to put all people on the same table, and civil society should be the biggest or the largest part, a largest contributor to the INC. You cannot really get negotiators just to speak and to talk about text. You need to do that first and then take it into voting. Because negotiators, at the end of the day, they don't have, the knowledge. I'm talking about the knowledge on an academic way. I mean field way.
Well, you mean the implementation. And what we usually do with treaties is we make what would be ideal and then hope that it can be implemented, instead of looking at what needs to be implemented, what are the resources or the capacities or the solutions that are already out there.
Exactly.
And then going upstream and saying, how do we normalize this or make this mandatory, and this mismatch.
You put it perfectly. Very well done, yes.
Yeah, it's challenging. And it's the thing about, again, plastics that we are all probably wearing right now, and of which there's plenty in this room. You, as you say, need civil society. You also need science. You also need innovation, as you were saying, the solutions with the tiles.
Of course.
It's really complex, but I think it is important to say we need the local to be informing the international.
Exactly.
And the international to be remembering that at the end of the day, the people implementing it will probably be fishermen.
Thank you very much. And also there is an important thing, which is local context. You cannot really tell all the countries. Spain is different from Egypt. Egypt's different from Greece. So we need to take it, like all the local solutions and gather it together. And then we have a holistic solution.
You're reading my mind, because my next question was going to be, I'm from Barcelona, you're from Alexandria.
Yes.
How important is to tap into cultural values? And they can be, as you say, religious. They can be, just cultural, economic values when you're trying to motivate a behavior in change. A change in behavior. How important is to tap into the local context?
I see we're working in Shutter Islands. So what it's very important to get the government, civil society, maybe Menalia or others, and the activists and everyone, and the community, and they should be all together, working with the same pace, with the same speed. So the government have a law, but how do you implement it? And how you are educated, and the community itself, how they understands the gravity of the situation and the awareness and the education. So if we work together, we will achieve something valuable. We're not working together. Everyone is working. I didn't say that the government, for example, they're not working, but they're working in a different...
In silos.
Yes, exactly.
The way you almost did it, I think the bridge between government and, and practitioners and the public is culture.
Exactly.
That is the language we all speak. And I think this lack of trust that we feel, for nonprofits feel it, the government feels it, fishermen feel it because they get accused all the time. This lack of trust is a symptom of not working together.
Right.
Because you're never collaborating, you never get to build this virtuous cycle of seeing each other, contributing.
Exactly.
And then you have these cliches and you have these, misunderstandings that can go for generations.
Yes, exactly. Can I say examples? So let's say in Egypt, because I know it very well. Yeah. So they are doing, for example, legislating very important rules to help and to stop overfishing. Yeah. But most of the fishermen, they see it as, you don't want me to work.
Yeah.
Stop it. The problem is that government is not saying that. They're just legislating the law. Yes. I know it's in the benefit for Egypt and benefit for our fishing stocks and the future generations, but the fisherman sees it as he's the enemy. He doesn't want me to work. And he just, okay, I'm obeying the rules because I don't want to get fined. I don't want to get to go to prison. So this is a very important thing. You need to tell them when and where and how they can do that and how they can implement that. Now, also for plastic, for marine plastic, and how to solve the problem. Also, one of the best things that happened with the port coordinator, this is a very good example, when one of the port authorities, and they are military, so they found out ice cleaning is doing this. Wow, why are we not doing that before? See, they just supported and helped.
Yeah. It's actually a hazard too.
Exactly.
There's all this connection to...
I just laughed about it, but this is it becoming a treasure, so we need to spread the money? But I was joking, But he found out that there is something happening. Are you doing something for the environment?
Speaking of co-benefits and of things that, Egypt and Barcelona have in common, tourism is the T word. Tourism, of which we know a lot. Sorry for any tourists in the room, we love you. But it does contribute majorly to plastic pollution in the Mediterranean, immensely so. That had been demonstrated. There's been studies in beaches in Barcelona and beaches in Egypt. We know that tourism is a huge contributor, and therefore, as you were saying, if you are the problem, you can also be the solution. So,
of course.
Could you tell us a little bit about how you are trying to engage with the tourism industry? What potential do you see as a co-benefit for tourism of, removing plastic? Because I think that is something that both of our countries struggle with.
That's a lovely question. So Alexandria, it's touristic, but not a little bit internationally like Barcelona. But we receive more than 2.5 million Egyptians from all around Egypt every year in the summer. And Alexandrians themselves, they have a little bit of awareness on how to deal with the seas and how to keep their beaches clean. But the problem is from the 2.5 million, tourists everywhere. It's the same thing. So they come and infest the beaches with plastic. So what we do now, and other organizations, brilliant organizations, and even NGOs around Alexandria, and I joined the forces, so I'm giving them my thoughts about after cleaning the sea, that and also talking to the Deputy Minister of Environment in Egypt, he's from Alexandria, on how to stop or to cut the loop of plastic. So what happened is most of us 30 years ago in Alexandria, we used to go to the beach without any single-use plastic item. Yeah. We used to go with our reusable things, and it's cheap, by the way. It's not expensive in Egypt. Now it's you can buy like a reusable bottle with £10. £10, and not that much in euros, but it's nothing. So we're trying to introduce that kind of thing, that we need to go back to our old habits and to ban the plastic from the beaches, and nobody will to enter with it. They're trying to do so because we have a law now. It was legislated by the Egyptian Parliament October 2020. It's number 202, is to have a strict policy related to the single-use plastic in the coastal cities and in the waste management itself, and to support waste management facilities and recycling facilities.
Amazing.
So that kind of thing, we need to enforce it more, and I'm also relying on it, because sometimes you cannot talk to a politician telling him that you need to do so without a law, right? You cannot really tell them that to do something like that. Now I'm using that law. Yeah. Oh, we need to enforce it. Yeah, Professor, you need to...
if there's anybody from the government, take notes.
Please, we need to enforce it. Let's do it. I can do it.
And ironically, tourists pollute the beaches with plastic and then complain that the beaches are filled with plastic.
Local and international.
Yes, exactly, regardless. But actually, it disturbs tourism. When there is a lot of plastic on the beaches, tourists don't want to go. So it's actually a beneficial, economically, it's a beneficial loop if you manage to get laws like this passed. I want to ask one last question in terms of opportunities for the private sector, because one of the things that I've seen you've done, which is rare and difficult, is to onboard private actors. So from fashion companies to like insurance, I think you're doing. Can you tell me how you're getting companies to contribute to NLA's mission, and like how are you convincing them of the value of doing that?
Yeah, thanks to the co-founder and his team. They're brilliant to pitch that. But for me, so Egypt is a very big opportunity. Most of the people, even the international ones, they see that Egypt is an important country in the Mediterranean. Not because of just the opportunities that are coming from the products itself, because it's very good for the circular economy. Also because of we are a very populous country, so we have potential. We have lots of opportunities to do more than that. So we are part of the equation, but let's get back to the question. But I wanted to say that to highlight that Egypt is very important because of those kind of factors, that they need to see something happening, and they've seen it.
Yeah.
They wanted some solution that it's not showing off, not I don't want to say that the cleanups are just a simple thing. It's very important, but it's not enough. But they've seen that we are trying to extract the problem from the source, and also helping communities.
Yeah.
Indigenous communities, or the local communities. So they've seen many ticks, ticking the checklist.
For private actors, they're like, check environmental, check social, check it works, check innovative.
Exactement. So that's the very important thing that we've been looking for, and we're trying also to get more boxes to tick. You know, like now we're trying to see education opportunities. Now we're trying to see how we can also put the politicians or the government into the equation. So that's what NLA are doing. So this is why the donors or the companies are trusting them, because they're doing so.
If I may summarize, I think that is why you're succeeding, because you're taking a problem-first approach.
Right.
What is the problem of the fishermen? How can we help by reducing plastic? What is the problem of the companies, that they want to do good, but they don't trust most of the solutions, or the solutions don't tick their boxes? How can we make a solution that ticks their boxes? And that is it's both compassionate, but as you were saying earlier, very strategic.
Yes, yes.
And it's working.
Can I add something also?
Of
so
course.
in Aliyah have also done a very nice system. It's in the testing phase. It's called blockchain system. So we are tracing the plastics of ours from the source, from the collection till the recycling process, even sometimes post pellets or being tiles. So that kind of thing gives also the trust that we are trying to understand what we are doing with our marine plastic. So that kind of solutions, I love about that we are documenting, not just proving, for the donors, but I like it that it's something that gives trust, so we can do more than that.
It builds trust for every actor in the ecosystem, which is how you overcome the tragedy of the commons, which is basically what we're discussing. I would love to end on a positive note, because I know, our beloved ocean choking in plastic is not fun. No. But I think you've shown a lot of solutions, and if there's people in the public who are wondering right now, I want to do something about it. Maybe they're a student, maybe they're just an individual, maybe they have a company themselves. What are some words of advice you would give? If somebody wants to contribute to this cause, how would you advise them they start getting into it?
I've dealt with schools before to educate them, so the younger generation is very important.
Yeah.
Younger generation are easy to tackle, to give them, even the process, but you need to be more creative, of course. Yeah. Social media, of course, very, very important. Very important that people understand that there is a solution, because most of the generations, let's talk about millennials, they lost a little bit of hope. What's going on? World full of conflicts, problems, environmental problems, climate change. But the point is to give hope. The younger generation are the perfect opportunity to deal with schools. So when we started the schools, one of the projects that I've worked on with the school students, they know. They just, I thought I'm crazy because I told that to my mother and father, and not to use plastic and to use plastic and that kind of thing. So we need to, as even older ones, elderly, everyone, just teach the younger generation. You have sons, tell them. You have grandsons or granddaughters or daughters, tell them. Anyone, you just just raise the awareness and tell them about the problem and how it's going to affect the next generations and the future. So I feel here is we need to be an activist without naming ourselves activists. Everyone needs to be an activist just to solve the problem.
I think that's such a beautiful message to end with, because sometimes we can be waiting for the experts to do something, or we can be waiting for the politicians to do something, God forbid, or we can, and as you say, we all have a circle of influence. We all have people who look up to us, or people who we work with, or people who we have some sort of leverage, on that we can bring on board. And on that note, because I'm sure there's a lot of wisdom in this room, I think it'd be great to open now to questions if there's any. You can ask them in Catalan and there'll be translation, or Spanish or French, or whatever you feel like. So if there's any doubts, questions, I see one.
Kind questions.
Hello, my name is Nuria. I wanted to ask you something. Is it true that throwing iron stuff into the water helps the water get more oxygen?
Is it what, sorry?
That throwing stuff made of metal.
Yes.
Made of iron, actually, made of iron.
So you mean that throwing the trash itself, or the plastic?
Oh, trash, iron trash, like metal things, like, metal no, it's always iron. Apparently.
Yes, iron itself, yeah.
Is it true that it oxygenates the water? It gives
sorry,
oxygen?
I think she's talking about geoengineering, like water fertilizing,
yes,
when you throw the iron in order to generate...
Exactly.
Yeah,
okay.
That's right.
So I think that was mentioned also with a simplified language by the port coordinator, that even the iron or the shipwrecks, unfortunately, it affects all the biodiversity around, because it changed the salinity of the water, which is, the acidity or the pH itself. So most of the, fish, or the what we call it, even the marine life there, it's affected drastically. So it feels the abandoned this place, so it became a sort of a dead lake. Do you know what happened after that? The oxygen level decreases. So, like your oxygen generator is running out of oxygen. Of course, even in a small spot, it's not a problem. But, when it's happening on a larger patches, of course it's a problem.
And, yeah, and if I may comment on this, because, yes, I think the challenge is these environments are so incredibly complex that it is hubris to try to control them. So even when experiments like these are done, and we try to change the salinity or the alkalinity of a part of an ocean, there's all these secondary effects. So you can get a big algal bloom, and it will absorb a lot of carbon, great, but then that can absorb oxygen and kill fish. Or it may move to an area where it's not wanted, or it may give...
so disrupting life cycles, should be intersecting with each other. You're just disrupting them.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think there may be times where, in desperate need, but I think the idea is to understand that we are part of a very complex equation, and to try to fix our part of it, instead of trying to change how the equation works, because it has been working this way for millions and millions of years. And also those secondary and tertiary effects are really hard to manage. And even if we wanted to study them, we don't have the time, because we need to sort a lot of these issues really quickly. Right. So it's beautiful to do research on some of these issues, and it's important to understand how iron, or geoengineering can help. But at the end of the day, the fastest solution is to stop poisoning the sea. Just avoid the problem to begin with. But I think it's a really interesting conversation, and it's usually not an either or, as we were saying. We need kind of everyone to be working at the same time.
Has there been people testing it? I mean, are there experiments on that, or people just don't bother doing it?
Oh, there are, yeah. So for seeding in particular, there are experiments. There are different compounds that can change the alkalinity of the water.
Depends on the type of the iron,
exactly.
And the type of the ship, and what kind of seas.
Exactly. So it is being studied. It's being studied sitting it into rivers in the US so that it will get into the ocean. It has been studied throwing just a bunch of iron from a boat. It is being studied in the UK. But there's a lot of challenges, for example, in the UK, and I didn't think I was going to talk about this, and I apologize because it's a bit crude, but they were really concerned that it was going to give the seals diarrhea, and that a huge seal colony may get dehydrated and die, because if you do this to the water, and obviously they drink it, it may have secondary effects on seals, which are obviously really important megafauna in that part of the world. And so it is definitely being studied, and there's also a lot of private funding for potential solutions like that. But the truth is that, this is just my personal opinion. I won't say the truth is. My personal opinion is that we keep reaching for harder and harder solutions because we don't want to do the simple thing, which is to stop.
But for example, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
For example, look at the picture that you've got behind you. These are nets, basically, and the nets, they have iron. Well, I suppose that it's iron.
The frame itself is iron, yes.
The frame, yeah.
Well, basically, many fish get trapped by iron, and they die. Many species die because they are trapped by these nets that they are left or they are broken. Which to me is like quite contradictory, because basically it's like, all right, things like that are actually bad, but actually you're putting iron in there, so it might not be that bad. I mean, it's an accident, but in a way, maybe allowing some nets, but not the textile itself. Maybe changing the textile for like textile that can degrade or something like that. Maybe something like that would actually be not a bad solution, because you're allowing a natural culture
to. I'll let you answer, and then I have an example.
Okay. Yes. Very good. So, the fishing nets are, there are many laws, especially in the Mediterranean basin countries, also Egypt included, that there are certain type of fishing nets that should be used now, and they're abandoning abolished around 8 types of fishing nets. Now they are trying for the ones which has very loose and should have a certain type of thickness and certain type of pores. A pores should be a little bit like very wide, because they want to protect the small fish. You remember the conversation about that, if you want to repeat it. So it's happening. But unfortunately, sometimes fishermen, they know how to build fishing nets and how to do it. Do you know that this fishing net, for example, it's done by a fisherman? He can do it. He can weld sometimes. So it depends on how you use it and the legalities itself and the enforcement of the laws. Your example.
The Institute of Studies of the Mediterranean that is based here in Barcelona, which is actually the largest in the Med in terms of researchers, are already looking into things like that. So something that fishermen use all the time are called FATs, fish aggregation devices. And they're basically these buoys that are designed to attract small fish and then bigger fish. And then the fishermen know where to find the fish because the buoys attract them. The issue with the buoys is that they are always abandoned, and they're made out of plastic, and they're, they can get caught, and they're very, very problematic. So they're looking into designing them in ways that are, as you say, like compostable and could even potentially be good in the way that they disintegrate or that can help the environment. But again, one of the challenges with the ocean is it's hard for us to imagine how huge it is, how genuinely vast it is, and how quickly things dissolve. Which is why historically we have dropped nuclear waste in it and been like that. So for it to make a difference, things like iron, you need them at such high quantities that that is not, it's not an easy. It's not an easy trick. But I know, I know researchers in Barcelona are already doing a lot of work in fishing kits, including fats that would be at least biodegradable and at best helpful to the environment.
I'm wondering why you're so concerned about iron. You.
I don't know.
Just a question. Joking.
No, it's just It's the other day. Some cultural entity. They were putting a whale made of iron onto the river Ter,
Okay.
Yeah, in Masies de Roda. And I had curiosity. I asked my friend, why are you putting a well made of iron? And he didn't answer. And I was like,
But they didn't
all
drop
right.
it, thank God. They didn't drop it. Thank God.
Yeah, no, there's definitely innovation and a lot of world-class research happening in Barcelona in particular, which is definitely worth promoting more. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you very much, Ahmed and Laura. I wanted to know a bit more about Enaleia. It was born in Greece, I understand, and then expanded to Egypt. Are there plans to expand to other countries in the Mediterranean, maybe Spain? You yourself in Egypt, you're based in Alexandria, you work in Alexandria, maybe you have also plans to expand to other cities and recruit more and can you tell us about it?
Very good question. So they already work in Spain by other ports, and they all want to expand to other cities in Spain, of course. I think they are working in partnership with the the foundation of the Wildlife Foundation, and in Egypt we want to work in the Red Sea and the Nile. So also plus other kind of ports in the Mediterranean Sea, because we have thousands of kilometers of Mediterranean Sea coast. Also, we are trying to work with women fishermen. That's the kind of thing that we need to understand, because we have a lot in Egypt, but they don't have opportunities or accessibility to the right jobs. Also, they are suffering. So I think there's going to be a very important pillar. For the expansion, that we need to do more targets, so we can reach also the very, very inaccessible cities, especially in the southern part of Egypt, the eastern coast, also in the Red Sea, because we have lots of fishermen that they don't have even the opportunity to gain maybe $1 per day, so it's nothing. So they have even a very, very, they're struggling with financials. So I think this is going to be a very good opportunity to offer them a climate job and also at the same time protecting the oceans. Also, with the NLA is working in Croatia and working in Italy, along with Spain.
Actually, in the Spanish context, I think they're working in Tarragona. I think Allianz, the insurance company, has funded something of it, and I also know that in particular Catalan fishermen in the north of Catalonia have been really involved with the making of marine protected areas, and when you speak internationally about fishermen being involved in sustainability solutions, it hasn't been easy, but actually there's a lot of fishermen in Costa Brava that have become pioneers in this, that there's parts of Catalonia that are seen as an example. So not to just explain the bad, there's a lot of good examples even in our own backyard that a lot of people don't know about.
Very good, yes, thank you.
My pleasure. Any other questions? We still have 10 or comments. Yeah.
Thank you, Ahmed and Laura. I want to know more about Enaleia and which are the funding sources, because I understand that you pay the fishermen, and which are the funding sources? Are from private companies, from the subsidies from the government, or how you ensure the sustainability of the project, no?
Very nice question. So Enaleia has a diverse kind of resources. So the first, of course, working with partners and donors who are trying to support the project's operations, but also we have products and kind of different products like the plastic pellets themselves, diverse types from PP to HDPE to PET and other kinds of plastic that are part of the circular economy, and also kayaks. They are selling kayaks in Greece, a very, very popular product that they love. And the ordinary products like shirts and socks, and now also furniture, because now we are trying to replace the poor trees wood, and now we're trying to use kind of plastics coming from straight ahead from the ocean, and we've managed to partner with very, very massive and great reputable companies to give us the, the high quality end products. And sometimes we're doing partnerships with big brands like, can I name them? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
EcoAlf and very, very famous in Spain also. So we are managing to work on different products and that kind of thing to ensure sustainability and to ensure the consistency of the project. And I like also that we are exploring more options into how to get the products of Egypt to be also part of the market itself.
And from a comms perspective, what's so cool about this, besides the economic sustainability we touched about, is that then these products end up being an educational tool. So it's a virtuous cycle. We see, sometimes education and products and funding, all are separate things, but actually when you buy a t-shirt from a company or a kayak and it says made with fishermen nets, it educates the people about first the challenge, but also the fact that nets can be, recycled, and so it starts to create public awareness, and with that awareness comes more demand, because then you go to the other kayak and say, why is yours not recycled? And slowly but surely, then that drives more funds towards the right places. So, it takes a moment to get an ecosystem working together, but if we've learned anything from nature is that, solutions will be systemic or they will not be. And I think that's what's really exciting about your product line too. It's actually an educational tool for anybody.
Exactly, yes. And it inspires many people also. So if they can copy or replicate, but in a way that they can help their local communities. So I like that, of course.
And there's a ton of research that shows that the youth is really motivated in their buying by environmental choices, which means you can go to companies and make a really strong case for them doing that and it helping their bottom line, thinking about the type of sustainable growth that we were hoping for.
One of the videos actually on social media for NLE on TikTok got 4 million views. And I was in Egypt, thank God. I was so happy about it. Okay,
congratulations.
Anyway. So that kind of video shows, what happened from plastic to a product. So the video of him fishing, then the plastic turns into a product. So that kind of thing really stimulates the enthusiasm of the younger people. TikTok is for young people. So sometimes it's a little bit, funny, but at the end of the day, it can be a true message. So thank God. Thank you for reminding me of this.
Congratulations for being a famous influencer.
I wasn't really that.
You weren't in
I
it.
just appeared in 2 seconds, but I was so happy about that. It was Egypt.
But that is so important. And I think we all feel this sense of, what you mentioned prior, exhaustion and dread. Like, is there a solution? Are we too late? And what's beautiful about communicating about your projects is that the change is very tangible. Mm-hmm. And we all need examples of tangible change, because it's what helps us snap out of this feeling of helplessness. Yes. Is being able to point at something and say, well, they're doing it. So congratulations. I think we have time for one last question before we say goodbye today. This one's from the boss.
Big boss.
Yeah.
No, només una petita aclaració que ho recordava molt vagament i ho he mirat ara buscant a la web en el telèfon. A la Vall Ferrera, al Pirineu, se'n diu Vall Ferrera perquè hi havia antigues mines de ferro. I al Pallars Sobirà també hi havia antigues mines de ferro. El que passa que són d'una pobresa molt menys utilitzable que les mines de ferro a la Conca del Ruhr o al País Basc, i en època moderna van quedar abandonades. Però suposo que d'allà hi ha molts residus de ferro que baixen de la muntanya. Per aquella pregunta que feien abans. Ho trobareu fàcilment a la web.
I think this shows that even for me, all I do all day is work in ocean conservation, and I am from Barcelona, and there's still so many things about my own region, Catalonia, Spain, the Mediterranean, that I don't know about. And so I think before anybody throws their hands up and says, well, there's nothing we can do, I think it's important to look around, because somebody's probably already doing something, somebody's on stage with me who is doing something, and we're so grateful for your example, not only because it gives hope, but also because it gives, as you say, like very practical solutions that there's no reason why we couldn't implement in other regions. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Laura.
all so much for attending. Gràcies per venir. This is just the start. N'hi ha 5 més. So next time you can bring your friends. We're going to talk about a lot of issues that connect marine protected areas, the rights of the oceans, ocean communication and literacy. Pick your favorite, bring your friends. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you very much.
Gràcies per acompanyar-nos.